Hello, everyone, and welcome to Mozilla's first developer roadshow here in Korea. We're super excited to be here. A couple of housekeeping things before we get started. If you're looking for Wi-Fi, this is the network and the password. There are blue signs around the building or around the room. They also have it if you don't get it right now, but I know that's always important for folks. If you're looking for the toilets, you go out the main door across the hall, and you'll see signs. They're back where the elevators are, so you can just follow the signs for those. Feel free to do that at any point. We also have drinks and sandwiches up just past where you registered and signed in. Feel free to help yourself. And afterwards, we'll have a little bit of social time as well as some demos in the back. So please feel free to hang around, talk to any of the speakers, talk amongst yourselves. And again, we're really, really happy to have you here. As you all, I assume, know Mozilla, and I assume you all know Firefox as well. One thing a lot of people are not always familiar with about Mozilla is the fact that we are a nonprofit corporation, which means that when we say our mission is to put people before profit and make the internet open and accessible for everyone, that is actually why we are incorporated. We don't have shareholders. We are not beholden to any stock market or investors. We literally exist for the purpose of making the internet better for all of you and for all the people who use our various products, especially including Firefox. So hello, I'm Spivak. I'm the Director of Developer Relations at Mozilla. I'm based in San Francisco. This is my first time in Seoul, so I'm super excited to be here. I have not stopped eating since we got off the plane yesterday, so I'm kind of happy about that as well. You can reach me on Twitter, Spivak. Feel free if you have questions. That's usually a great place to reach me, and I'll be here this evening as well. I assume all of you are familiar with Firefox, yeah? Are you familiar with the various different versions of Firefox? Okay, so we have a couple different ways for developers to use Firefox. Our first is nightly. So nightly is exactly what it sounds. It is updated pretty much daily, nightly. It is the version for the least risk adverse amongst you. Which means as we are building things in Firefox, the code is updated with all of those changes. So if you want far out previews of what's coming in releases, nightly is a great place to look and see what features are coming. It's also the least stable. We also have Developer Edition, which is also called Beta. The Developer Edition is very specifically designed with access to all of our developer tools. That is a 6-week out preview of what is coming in the next release. So for example, we currently have Firefox 70, so Developer Edition is 71, which will be released 6 weeks later. Starting in January, Firefox is actually moving to a 4-week instead of 6-week release cycle. So that process will speed up, so your preview will only be about 4 weeks out as opposed to 6. We have a whole bunch of new features that I just wanted to touch on a few that are kind of exciting. One of these is HTML forms and secure passwords. Is anybody here familiar with Firefox Lockwise? Yay, one person, a couple people. So Lockwise is a new product that is integrated. It's standalone and also integrated into Firefox that basically functions as a password manager. It's integrated in, it's synced with your Firefox accounts. One of the things we've added is the ability to update the input element in HTML so you can generate secure passwords. If you have Lockwise, if they have Lockwise, users can store them, but you can do this in any password manager. So this simplifies the ability when you're creating forms to help your users create better passwords. And it's easier for you as a developer as well. We also have new CSS options for styling underlines, so you can set the thickness, the offset, and the skip ink. And the skip ink basically determines whether or not you skip the bottom on glyphs. It's probably hard to see, but there are some examples of how this shows up in the browser. But it gives you a lot more options for styling the underlines on your text, just using CSS. We also have scroll snapping. So this allows you to jump to elements. Basically, it allows your web pages to act much more like people are familiar with in mobile apps or native. So it's much smoother experiences when you're looking at web pages. We've also enabled dark mode. So basically this allows you to keep people's preference, whether they want a light or dark mode. So you're not having a jarring experience if you're browsing. We've also made a lot of improvements to our developer tools in Firefox. I'm not going to go into all of these. We have a wealth of tooling, particularly around CSS, that some of the other speakers that are going to get into. But I will note that both the JavaScript debugger and web console have had a lot of performance improvements. And so if you're using any of those or have used them or have never used them, you might want to check them out. The performance on them is really great. We've also just added pause on DOM mutation. So this is around breakpoints, so you can pause scripts, particularly if you're doing rather complex dynamic sites. Sometimes it can be really hard to see where you're having an issue. So this actually allows you to pause and look at where they're impacting specific elements. It's much easier to do your debugging with this feature. And we've also made improvements to accessibility. We have an accessibility panel in Firefox. This allows you to simulate color blindness, for example, and also see where there's contrast errors. So it really gives you a lot more tools to help people who may be visually impaired access your websites. We've also added some user features that are really awesome. We've been very focused on new privacy and security features. So we have something called enhanced tracking protection. And basically what this does is it blocks known trackers and problematic sites. This is now default in Firefox. But we've added a few special tools. One is social tracking protection. So it very specifically blocks sites like Facebook and others from cross-tracking you from sites. We also have a privacy protection report. And what this basically does is shows you all of the trackers that have been blocked over a specific time period. It's pretty terrifying. I recommend people take a look at it to see how insidious a lot of the tracking is. It's thousands and thousands of them over just a normal browsing session. And also, if you do use Facebook, we have an extension called Facebook Containers. And this essentially creates a container for you to run Facebook in that isolates it from the rest of your web browsing. So helping keep that tracking from affecting all the other things that you're doing. And then my own personal favorite, I always have a lot of tabs open. This is autoplay blocking. So it blocks audio in video. So if something happens and something reloads, you don't have to, like me, go frantically clicking through hundreds of tabs trying to find that one video that's playing the advertisement that you don't really want. And that is just a super short preview of some of the new things we've added in Firefox. And like I said, some of our other speakers will be digging deep into some of our CSS tooling, which is really fantastic. But for now, I think we'll move on to our next speaker. So Kathy Giori is going to be talking about Web Things, which is Mozilla's new set of tooling for the Internet of Things. So thank you all.